All right, so we need to finish up our CSS. We have to deal with the actual nav down here. But before we do that, I'm just going to add a couple more content styles. So for the content itself, let's do a max width of 1000 pixels, and we'll set margin. Let's do 50 pixels on the top and bottom, auto on the left and right. Keep it in the middle, so even if we stretch it out, it's going to have a 1000 pixel width max. And then for the H1, say content H1, we're just going to take the margin away from that, so margin 0. And then for the small tag, for the author, let's set a color of 555, and let's set a font style of italic. And then for the paragraphs, so content paragraph, we're going to set color to 333, and let's increase the line height to 1.5. And we already have the image at 100% width. Good. So now we just need to really deal with the navigation, which is right now is down here. And what I want to do, since we're only going to see this when this actually rotates, when we click this, I'm going to add the show nav. So show dash nav. I'm going to manually add it for now. And then the actual navigation, we want that to be positioned over here, right? So let's do this above where we did the content stuff. And I'm just going to use the nav tag as a selector. And I want to position this to be fixed, because we want it fixed down to the bottom. So we'll say fixed and bring it from the bottom 40 pixels up, and from the left 0. So that puts it, near where we're actually going to want it. And then I'm just going to set a high Z index here, so it's on top. Let's do a Z index of 100. And then for the UL, say nav unordered list. Oops, not class, just nav. So for that, let's do a margin, not a margin, let's do a list style type of none, so that will get rid of those bullet points. And then I'm going to set padding left to 30 pixels. And then we want to style the list items, so nav ul li. And I want them all uppercase, so let's do a text transform uppercase, and let's change the color to white, and let's set a margin of 40 pixels on the top and bottom, so we're really going to separate them from each other. And then let's bring it over here. We need to have it initially over here more to the left, because it's going to come in as this rotates, or right after it rotates. So to do that, we can use transform, and we want to translate on the x-axis, so translate x. We want to bring it left, so that would be negative. We'll do negative 100%. So if I save that, now you can see that it's way over here. We can still see it a little, but that's fine. It's just going to come in. But we want that to come in smoothly, so let's add a transition on that. So transition, the transform property, and we'll do a 0.4 second duration, and we'll use ease in here. And then let's see, for the, let's comment this out for a minute just so we can actually see this. I want some more space between the icons, so let's do nav ul lii, and I'm going to set the font size, let's do 20 pixels, and let's set margin right to 10 pixels. Oops. Okay, so it makes the icon a little bigger, also put some space in between them. Now, we're going to want each one of these to stick out a little more, kind of going at an angle. So what we can do is take the nav, let's say nav ul li, and then the direct li after that. And let's add a margin left of 15 pixels. So if I save that, what happens is the LIs after the initial LI are going to stick out 15 pixels. Now I want this last one to stick out even more, so what I'll do is take this, copy it, and let's say LI plus LI plus LI. So basically anything after, you know, this one here, so the contact one I want to stick out double that, so 30 pixels. So now you can see that it's at an angle, kind of at the same angle as the pages here. So we have initially we have this negative 100% translate X. So if I uncomment that, it goes almost off the screen, but we're going to want these ones to initially start out more over as well to the left. So I'm going to copy that, and for this one here where we have our margin left 15, let's do negative 150%, and then for this one here, let's do negative 200%, because we need those to be over more. Now when we have the show nav applied, we want it to actually show the navigation. Everything we just did is the default when you first come to the page. When this class is actually there, which it is now because we manually added it, we want to see all the navigation stuff. So let's go, where do we want to do this? We'll go right above the nav here, and let's say, so the container div, when it has show dash nav, then we want to take the direct navigation LIs after that, and we want to bring them into view. So let's set transform translate X on all of those to 0, which is going to bring it to its, you know, its original place. And I want to add a little bit of a delay, so we'll say transition delay. Spell that right? Transition delay. I'm going to set that to 0.3 seconds so that it comes in, you know, a little bit after. Oops, I forgot my semicolon. So it comes in a little bit after the rotation. So now we're able to see it because we have that show nav. So if we take this off, then we just have, you know, just looks normal. And then if we have it, you can see it rotates and it shows the navigation. Now we want to have the functionality where we click this, then it adds that class, which is going to be pretty easy. So let's jump into our script here, and let's create a variable called open, and we'll use document dot get element by ID. We have an ID of open. We also have an ID of close. So close, and then we also want to grab the container. So const container get element by ID. Actually, no, that's a class. So let's do, I mean, you could add an ID, or you could just use query selector. And we want dot container. It's a class. All right, so let's take open, and let's add an event listener to that. So we want to listen for a click, and when that happens, we're going to run an arrow function, and then we just want to take the container, and from the class list, we want to add the class of show dash nav. And then close is going to be similar, so I'm just going to copy that, and let's change this to close, and then let's do container class list remove. All right, so if I save that and I click, okay, so that happens. So let me just reload. So I click, and that rotates, these shoot in, but we can't see the close here. So to handle that, let's go back to our CSS, and we basically just want the circle, this to rotate when there's that show nav class. So I'll go right below the circle. So So let's say circle and dot show nav. And then we're not actually I'm sorry, not circle, container. So when the container has show nav applied to it, then we want to style the circle. And what we want to do with the circle is rotate it. So let's say transform, rotate, and we're going to rotate it -70 degrees. Okay, so now once it rotates, we can see the close button. Just because of where it's positioned, when the circle rotates, it just comes into view. All right, so that looks pretty good. So not too bad. I mean, we're just adding and removing a class, and we're setting certain styles on the circle and on the navigation, you know, when we have that class applied. So you could use this on with any website, any application. So that's it. Let's go on to the next video, next project.